In my opinion, the B8 generation Audi S4 is one of the best cars for the money all around, everything considered. I personally had a 2014 S4 as my daily driver for just under 3 years, put a ton of miles on it. It was excellent in all sorts of conditions. One of my favorite parts of the S4 is its dual personality. You can put the car into dynamic mode and it becomes sporty and fun to drive. But then you put it back into comfort mode and it becomes a more refined, quiet, perfect daily driver. I really love that about this car. Today, I get to experience a 2010 Audi S4 that's been fairly modified. Dual pulley setup. It's actually got quite a long, extensive list of modifications that I think I'm gonna have to pull over and read from the list that my friend sent me because I can't remember everything that's been done to it, but it's been very tastefully modded. I really like this car. Additionally, the other big highlight of getting to experience this car today is it's a 6-speed manual transmission vehicle, which is more on the rare side. I've driven a manual B8 S5, which was the V8, the 4.2 liter V8, long time ago. That was like back when I was in college. But this is my first time getting to experience a 6-speed manual B8 generation Audi S4 with the supercharged V6. Now, I had my car, it was the 7-speed dual clutch, spent a lot of time on that, so I'm pretty familiar with this platform. So both, it's gonna be cool to review a modified vehicle and a manual S4. So let's talk about the initial powertrain basics in stock form. All the B8 generation S4s came with a supercharged 3-liter V6. They made 333 horsepower. Quattro all-wheel drive was standard. I already mentioned that you get the 2 transmissions, 7-speed dual clutch or a 6-speed manual. Sports differential was a really important powertrain option you could have that really helps the handling, makes it a little more fun to drive. There were 2 kind of a generation, sort of. It was a B8 and B8.5. B8 was when it first came out. This car, 8.5, was the mid-cycle refresh with the newer lights. That's the one that I owned. This car, I think, is an excellent choice because you get the sporty funness. 333 horsepower is pretty good. It's a good amount of power for the price point. It's practical with all-wheel drive. You can, I never had any issues with winter tires on it in the snow in Michigan on crappy roads. It was excellent. It's practical. When sedan form, you got a pretty big trunk. I was able to go on road trips with the car. You could also get the S5 with the essentially identical powertrain, but the 2-door version, similar generations. I personally prefer the S4 just because I think it looks better proportion-wise. When you take this size car and make it into a coupe, it just looks like there's too much space behind the doors. I really, really like the S4. I miss mine sometimes, but I have the R7 to replace it. But this thing is making me think about a manual transmission S4 as a fun little car to beat around on. All right, we'll do a little pull here. Just listen to that supercharger whine. Let me put the windows down a little bit. Before we get to the modifications, the performance, and how it's like to drive, let's talk about some of the exterior and interior details. I think the B8 generation S4 is aging really well. The lights are starting to look a little bit dated, especially with the shape of the daytime running lights and how they're individual kind of points instead of like the more solid looking line as more modern daytime running lights are. But I still think it's a modern looking vehicle. The proportions, I think, are great. This one has been modified on the outside, and I really, really like the way it looks. Perfectly tasteful exterior mods. Lowered on coilovers, so you get rid of that wheel gap. It's on wider wheels, 9.5, like the style of them. It's wrapped in this really cool kind of satin blue color. I forgot the exact name of it. It's got the RS style big black mesh grill up front, blacked out rings. It's got a nice little carbon lip, inlays kick diffuser on the rear trunk, and then the inlays rear diffuser on the bottom, which I really love the way that looks. Overall, this car definitely turns heads. It looks unique. It looks classy. It's not over the top. It's not racy anyway. I really love the way that this B8 S4 has been done up. On the inside, the B8 generation is definitely a little more dated compared to the B8.5. It's got the kind of older style looking steering wheel. MMI is a little bit older, but it's got all the stuff you would want. It's got heated seats. You got your drive select. I'm in dynamic now. I could go to individual or comfort. The nav system's a little bit older. The center screen here is a little older, but it'll show you your range, your fuel economy. It's spacious. It's open. It's airy. You can see out of it. For a guy my size, I complained a little bit about it being on a smaller end, but I mean, I still fit fine at 6'3". The rear seats are usable. It's got the B&O sound system. I really still like this generation of interior. let's get to a little bit of the performance stuff. I don't have that list in front of me right now of what's been done to it, so I'll go off the basics of what I remember. Upper pulley, lower pulley, it's been tuned for, I think you can run an E20 blend ethanol, supposedly around 440 wheel horsepower, which is pretty good given the weight of this car. It's got exhaust on it, so it's got downpipes, it's got a catback, I think it's a MagnaFlow exhaust on the coilovers, a transmission mount, still stock shifter, stock clutch, and everything from that regard. So it's pretty nicely modified. It's got an intake, so it makes really nice supercharger noises. The pulleys in the tune definitely help with power. This thing is quick. And it's still fresh in mind how a stock V8 S4 feels in terms of 333 horsepower. This is a lot faster. It gets going. I also want to talk about the manual transmission. I love the dual clutch in the S4. It's a really good transmission. It feels crisp, good shifts to it. But this manual just gives you a more involved feel to it. The shifter is a little bit on the rubbery side. Doesn't have the most feel again, but I'm a little bit spoiled in terms of feeling like Porsche manual transmissions in a GT3. The clutch has got a good weight to it. Overall, I think as a fun to drive vehicle, I would agree that the B8 S4 should be had in a manual transmission. Now, if you want the dual clutch like I did because you're going to be stuck in traffic all the time and you didn't want to deal with the manual, it's not a bad transmission to have, but manual definitely makes it more fun. All right, before we get too far, I'm going to pull over on the side street and park to your hazards on. I'm going to read the list of mods so you guys know what's going on with this thing. So it's got a CTS upper pulley, fluid damper 179 millimeter, other pulley, AMS performance, supercharger cooler. I'm going to butcher the pronunciation. It's an ECS Kohlephaser Luft Technik carbon fiber intake. It looks really cool. It's got a EPL, European Performance Laps, stage 2 tune for 93 octane, dual pulley tune. It's got new speed, non-resonated downpipes, MagnaFlow exhaust. It's got an ECS polyurethane transmission insert. That's all the powertrain stuff, and that's how you get that 440 wheel horsepower. It feels great. It's a lot of fun, and the supercharger, the whine sounds so cool. In terms of the exterior styling, I already kind of talked about that. It's also got carbon fiber mirror housings, the front grille. It's satin perfect blue wrapped exterior, black trim. It's on the wheels. I think overall, if I were to have an S4, I would want to modify it like this. It's really well done. The other thing about it is the steering is different on the B8 generation S4 than the B8.5. And I honestly think this feels a little bit better than the one that I had in my car. The manual, the mods, completely transform this. It's a lot more fun to drive. It's almost making me regret not modifying mine. Again, mine was my daily driver. I had a car like the R8 to mess around with, so that's why I left it stock under warranty. But if I were to have a V8 S4 again, I would definitely do things like this. This thing is definitely quick. It's smaller and more nimble feeling, definitely for me, because I've been used to my boat of an RS7 right now. It's a ton of fun. I've really enjoyed experiencing a dual pulley Audi S4. This car is for sale. Check out the ownership video. I get in the car with Josh and we talk about everything that's been done to it, why he's selling it. I'll link it below in the description. If you want a fun to drive all around little German luxury sedan, this is an excellent option. It's a ton of fun to drive. It's got great performance. It'll work in the snow. It's been tastefully modded. Everything that you would want to do to a B8 generation S4, you would be very happy with this car. Hope you guys like this video. If you have any questions, please comment below. Thanks for watching.